Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to this episode of the Quantum Woo with MARYAM HENEIN. This is part 11. You can find her work at MARYAM HENEIN on YouTube and also on Twitter, and finally on honeycolony.com. Let's give her a big warm welcome back to the show. MARYAM.
Thank you. Greetings from Miami.
You look amazing. You look a little sun-kissed there.
I am sun-kissed. It's been 2 days in a row. I just got to Miami, so I'm walking distance from the beach. And
Bienvenido a Miami.
See, exactly.
Hi, papi.
Hi, puppy. And
you like that song? You like that Will Smith song?
Well, I was thinking of that song. I was like, welcome to Miami. And I was like, what is that song? So you just answered me.
There you go. Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this live interactive show. We were supposed to do the John Hutchison part 2 tonight. For some reason, we got our wires crossed, and John had something else booked at the same time tonight. So we're going to push that back to next Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. So that'll be the Quantum Woo with MARYAM HENEIN and John Hutchison of the John Hutchison Effect. And he was going to be sharing with us his, how did he call it? The mirror
room?
Yeah, the Oracle mirror room. Anyway, crystal mirror room. Anyways, really cool stuff, guys. So tune in with us next Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern for that show. MARYAM, where do you want to start tonight? You want to pick a few cards and see what type of energy we're dealing with here? And of course,
yes,
you and I want to talk about your last healing session with May Levy. And of course, she's a very popular guest on our show here tonight. So people will be interested in your point of view to see how your healing session went. And of course, we'll talk about some of your consulting medicine coaching and how you're getting very busy with that as well. So let's pretty much the show for tonight, and we might take some questions here and there while we go at it. So sounds good?
Yes. Okay,
all
so
right.
If maybe everyone in the audience can think of a question that they have, and then collectively, if you want to also, Jean-Claude, I'll ask, I'm going to ask a question of what does this group want to address? And if you each have a question, to just silently think of it. And
okay.
Again, I'm using these archetype cards. And before I start, I had pulled the desert card before I knew that I was going to go to the Renegade Burning Man. And I just looked at it for a while. And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to the desert. And then when I was coming to Florida, I picked a card, and it was the empty room. And I am in an empty room now. But it was basically just saying, don't question, just be in the empty room.
Okay. By the way, your sound and your video is much better quality than from whatever else you usually broadcast from. It's very clear tonight. So,
oh, wow.
For the audience. Yeah, we hear you like so crystal clear.
Oh, wow, really? That's interesting. It's
yeah.
the same mic. Actually, my camera just busted. So this is luckily I have a laptop. The camera is in the laptop. But
yeah, it works well.
Okay.
Oh boy, I see some dangerous questions in the chat.
I'm even looking at them.
All right.
Next time I could also do a spread with this, but for now I'm just... The vow.
Okay.
Can I ask you what comes up for you before I look at the meaning, and then maybe I can share what just came out?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was wedding vows. So that's where my mind went as soon as you said the word.
Okay. What came to mind is the vow that I took to be here during this specific time.
Okay.
And that maybe others could resonate with that. Okay, let's see. Give me a sec. It's a thunderstorm coming here. I apologize. Okay, so the promise, the oath, the contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness. The laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow. We are living by consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promises. So when light, this is about bearing witness to the shift towards destiny. When dark, unconscious vows, unkept promises, messy karma. Go deeper. Learn the yamas, the 5 vows of the seeker. Think of the last promise you made. Was it to yourself or another? Has it been upheld or broken? One more thing. Anytime the energy of the vow is present, we are in the archetypal realm of ceremony and ritual. That means time stands still and anything is possible.
Wow. Well, at the point of time we find ourselves in now, yes, anything is possible. We've learned that so far this year. It's absolutely crazy out there. And it's funny about the vow. You talked about blood. There's something about sharing blood in the vows too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a show earlier today on blood types, and specifically the negative blood type line. So anyways, it's
Yeah,
from
I'm an old negative.
Really? Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was Bryce. Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta. This was the show earlier today, and she's also O negative. Anyways, it was a fascinating show.
It is
And,
the negatives are, yeah, I'm going to listen to that.
yeah, and it was funny too because a lot of our viewers are negative blood types as well. I asked a question, it just kept rolling and rolling. So there's something about the negative blood types congealing, coalescing, what's the word, together right now in these amazing times we found each other. So that's really cool. Although we're not blood clotting, we're just congealing.
We're not coagulating.
We're not yeah, that's the word I was looking for, coagulating. No. We're gelling together. So I love it. It's a beautiful family. All right. Wow, cool.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are also negatives. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
What are you?
I identify as a person who has. These are not the droids you're looking for.
So you identify as a negative?
I don't want to answer the question.
Okay. I get it. Sorry.
It's okay. Oh boy. Oh man. Okay, so when was your last healing session with May? Of course, you introduced the beautiful May Levy to the show, and since then it's been kind of rock and roll for her on her website, and she just launched her new clothing line as well with all the great artwork on it. It's absolutely amazing. But she does this thing called theta healing. Why don't you set that up for the audience a little bit? How did you understand what that meant? And then talk about your experience going through this healing session with May.
May I just touch a little bit more about the blood?
Oh, sure.
Also, Bruce Burgess, who directed me in the Ark of the Covenant, did the movie Bloodline. His name is Bruce Burgess. He's well known. He's the one who worked with John Hutchison. And it also explores the bloodline of Jesus. And I think it is timely to just speak about blood without going into it being tainted. But there must be something in that, right
Apparently,
now.
Jesus was AB negative.
Who?
Jesus, apparently he was AB negative. So that's interesting as well, because A is type 1 human, B is type 2 human. So both of them without the rhesus monkey gene in one individual is very fascinating. So when you talk about the Holy Grail, the bloodlines and all of Christ and all that, there's a lot there. And of course, Bryce is more an expert on this subject matter than I am, but absolutely fascinating topic. And yes, it's important because, in China, in other countries around the world, your blood type determines your rank in society. Whereas here,
Really?
in a lot of places, absolutely, yes. Whereas here, it's like, oh, it doesn't even matter. You ask your doctor, and she says, oh, why do you know that? Why do you want to know that? So it's kind of like weird that it's been hidden from us and what it really, really means, especially the negative part and where perhaps it comes from. So,
Well,
who are occupying those bodies.
what you're saying, let's say you're saying China, but
I
let's
believe-
say, does a certain race comment?
It could have been Japan. For some reason, I said China. It could have been Japan also. It could have been Japan, actually.
So let's say it's Japan.
Yeah.
Does your heritage produce a certain type of blood type? Like, are there a lot of Egyptians that would be O minus? I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know the answer. But I wonder regarding class if there would be a lot of O negatives, because O negative is rare. So I would think it has a more prized status. I found also that depending on the blood types, when I'm doing diet with people, that A's and B's are more able to handle non-meat diet, where O's typically crave and do well with meat.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
It is Japan. I'm reading some things here. They talk about also the personality comes to the blood type in Japan. But if you follow through, I'm not sure if it's said or unsaid, but at the higher levels, yes, the blood type is your gateway to some higher jobs or in the hierarchy of things. So that's fascinating. Wow.
Yes. Okay. So to answer your question, I did theta healing, maybe 10 years ago. And it's basically, and I believe in it because you're tapping the subconscious, and that's where we're only using such a little fraction of the consciousness. So when you realize that that's what's running the show, that's huge. And I'm a big fan of reaching theta, whether it's with theanine or with doing yoga nidra. I don't know if you're familiar with yoga nidra, but that's a meditation where you're lying down in shavasana. And I was doing it when I first encountered insomnia. And so you go through each part of your body and you're putting gold light. And typically by the time I get to the second half, I would get into like a cat nap phase and you're reaching theta. All right. So with that, just listening, I was called a eugenicist. I was called bad names the other day, and someone texted me and started harassing me, ironically, for image saying pure blood and not knowing it has any relations to Nazis. That's not the way I meant it. And so this person I'm just bringing it up because we brought up blood. And I was really, this woman dug up my number. And when I, being an adult, wanted to call and try to communicate, there was like, don't call me. And I was like, I cannot believe someone digs up the number, but they're not adult enough to have a conversation. Anyway, so later that day, I reached out to Mei and just being on the phone with her, being with a girlfriend, but hearing her voice. And she stands for purity, and the Virgo rising is my rising sign, is also Virgin, and I'm very much into sacredness and purity, and my name means the Virgin Mary, and there's so much corruption that, in any case, so just speaking to her, and then what we did, she got me drunk on water because she's like, take a drink.
Man, you're a cheap date. I said, you're a cheap date if you get drunk on water.
I am a cheap date. I don't have a pendulum. A lot of my things are, just living out of suitcases. Can you hear that?
It sounds like a motorcycle or something, no?
It's the thunder.
Oh, really? Oh, it's thundering. Okay.
Wow. So I became the pendulant, and we drank water to clear the channel and establish yes, no, naturally in the body. So I rocked back for no, and then rocked what?
Well, just to go back to what you said, so your comment of pure bloods had to do with, without reading it, what's on the screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got you.
That's correct,
Okay,
Stacey. And I was called a eugenicist and a Nazi.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I didn't know where you made that comment from. Okay, that makes sense now.
There was a Cliff High actually shared that meme. And
I saw that. Yes, you're right.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's the meme. That's the meme I got harassed for.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we established a pendulum, and then found these limiting beliefs that are standing in the way. Now, I believe
Cecilia is saying it's thundering here in Miami as well. I'm like, she is in Miami.
I am in Miami. Maybe were you nearby?
You guys are probably next door to each other.
Totally.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, I'm in Miami.
Yes.
And by the way, I want to say I was just at the Bulletproof conference with Dave Asprey and Dr. McCullough, and I met two people that one left Michigan to come to the conference, but just like one way is not going back. And then this other woman from Kazakhstan and New York that bought a one-way ticket to Miami is not going back. So there's definitely a big influx here. Right. All right. So if you have a sense of self and you have a sense of your unconscious limiting beliefs, it helps. But surely I can vouch for May's ability to hone in together. And first we went to the 7th dimension, and she was praying to further accentuate one's, in this case me, my superpowers or my intuitive skills beyond the 5 senses. And I shared recently, I have this thing with time and numbers that I just see them, and I'm kind of grappling with it because it's a little bit frustrating because I'm kind of always in the future. Like now that I've moved, I'm in the present, but when I'm planning something, I'm always like 2 weeks in, and I have a very good sense of how fast time is. So in a way it's good, but if you are in the future and you're waiting for people to catch up to you, you will be frustrated and lose your edge. Like you have an advantage because you see, but then you have to wait for the rest of the people. And maybe for many of us who have visionary skills or people in the audience, that's something that they grapple with. So as she was doing it, a couple of weeks ago, I was laying down and I'm like, what's this thing with this time? And I just heard, you're a timekeeper. And then I said, what does that mean? And I just heard, you're a watch. All right. So as Mimi's talking and she's saying something about accentuating, I'm like, okay, what's with this time thing? Am I really a watch? Like, and then I'm like, okay, what time is it now? And I just said like 11:17, and I opened my eyes and it was 11:17. So if you are ready and you can keep your vessel or be open to it, I feel that we are ascending and you can clear your channel. And I think that purifying, in my case, my expertise is helping people detoxify from the very real toxins on our planet in 3D. And then someone like May is working on the hyperdimensional entities or more forms that can clog up the system. So we went up to the seventh plane, and I was, as I said, was just at the Bulletproof conference. I consider myself a biohacker. My site, Honey Colony, looks at things from a biohacking point of view. What is that? It is optimizing one's biology. And Dave Asprey, who is best known for Bulletproof, is born, we're the same age, and we also both contended with mold. And I was kind of biohacking before I realized that, there's a name for it. But more importantly, at this conference, it came up that he has this retreat center. It's 40 years of Zen, and it's looking at the traumas that maybe at a very young age you've adopted. One being that Dave Asprey was born with the umbilical cord around his neck. And that is something that has happened to me. So when the story goes that when my parents conceived me, my dad wanted to abort me. And that in itself is an energetic form that is traumatic. And then went to the doctor. The doctor said, you're Egyptian. She was an Egyptian doctor. I'm not going to do an abortion. And then my dad proceeded to have my mom jump up and down and take a hot bath and try to abort me. And when I was talking to her and telling her this, and I'll bring up why at Bulletproof, I was talking to people I was with and saying, like, I want to be able to heal that trauma. I don't know exactly how to heal that trauma. And then here we are, like 2 days later, because I'm a manifester. If I stay out of my way, I'm with May, and she asks, one of the questions is, when was the first time you felt abandoned by a man? And the birth came up, but as I was talking to her, I was like, imagine like the energy of not being wanted, and then you literally try to commit suicide with your mom's umbilical cord. And I joke and I said I tried to end it before it even began.
I was like, that's heavy shit there, Maryam.
It is heavy shit, but life is. And in the end, my dad went to the Saint Joseph Oratory and climbed 200.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. You never told that part of the story.
Yeah, no, 200. He climbed 200 whatever steps in the middle of winter, and he said, if it's a female, I will name her after the Virgin Mary. So it's all very poetic and beautiful. But so we worked on that.
So this is the Oratoire Saint-Joseph in Mount Royal in Montreal for you English people. There you go. Okay, keep going, Maryam.
Yeah. Have you been? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was there as a kid. The first time I was probably 7 or 8, I think. We had done a family trip there for some reason. My grandparents wanted to go, and so my dad drove us all there, and we had to walk up the stairs. I remember it being an ordeal. I was like, why are we doing this? I'm supposed to play baseball today. Like, I have this baseball tournament. So 7 or 8, I think, was the first time. And I think the second time was probably 12 or 13. It was with school. At that time, I was in a Catholic, not high school, but école secondaire. How do you say that in English? Anyways, before high school.
Is that in high school?
Before high school at 12? No? I think high school starts at 13, no? Wait, in Quebec?
Yes,
at any rate,
I don't remember the name.
At any rate, I don't. Anyways, so I've been there before. No, Cégep is after high school. Cégep is college, like the
grade school.
Oh, maybe grade school is the word in English.
1 to 12 is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you remember les biquettes, all the crutches. There's all these in this oratory. There's all these wooden crutches that are representative, supposedly, of all the people a lot of people on crutches. I guess before wheelchairs. So anyway, that is a beautiful part that my dad did that pilgrimage for the Virgin Mary, which would be me. So we cleared that. And it was beautiful to have, it's been on my mind for a while, and that it came up with Meme. And when I went back to feel in the womb, it was as if I had other parents, because it was just kind of remove the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved forward in time, and I saw, I was born, I was chubby, I was made fun of, I was called fatso and tub of lard, and I had people friends call me and crank call me, and it was horrible. So I I lost a little bit of weight and I made it into a fashion show, and my dad kiboshed it. And I didn't expect that to come up because it's a little thing. But what came from that is a man standing in my way of anything I choose to experience and cock blocking it. And so how it could, it could, a lot of these things, I hope people realize they're having these experiences over and over again. And to a certain extent, you have to take responsibility for whether you're recreating that and what is the lesson there in order to like unshackle you. I think it's very important. And as someone whose philosophy is know thyself, I really think people just go to blame instead of like sitting with themselves. And I try to do that without being too hard on myself, which that is not easy. So we went through that and basically healed this aspect that I wanted to heal with men. I certainly, like a lot of questions, I was yes and no, because I don't think all men are that way. And certainly I've experienced beautiful men such as yourself who are not there to cock block. But in any case, with the theta healing, I'm just using myself as an experience, as an example. This can be done for whatever is in your life or in your sphere that wants to come up, knowing again that we are way more controlled by our subconscious than our conscious. That is huge.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fascinating. Now, in the subconscious, you and I have talked about this in the show, in previous shows, where we have to do our part for ourselves to try to figure out in meditation or whatever practice you have to find those old programs. Because I think this is an example of an old program that's recurring. Like for some people, it's karmic loops also. So it's generational, karmically generational. For some people, it's fresh of this particular lifetime. But there's all these practices out there that'll help you get to them. But I think what theta is doing is maybe getting to them faster. What was your experience in how you were surprised maybe and how quickly those came up and you weren't actually expecting that to come up leading into the session? Maybe speak about that a little bit.
Well, what I wasn't expecting necessarily is the memories when you're in the seventh plane, and I think it's important because I've done it more than once, but not in a long time. You're a facilitator and their gifts. Like I always think, let's say you're an astrologer or I do tarot, but I also know like Joseph Campbell's journey of the hero's journey. Like the more tools you have, the more you can help someone, I think. Mm-hmm. And certainly that's why with let's say my own consultations, like recently, like people are like just asking me questions. And first of all, I can get in trouble. I'm not a doctor. Second of all, I'm not like, this is about really understanding, and I'm very detail oriented. So the importance of having a facilitator that can cut through the BS and work with you and really hone in. Of course, you could do this all day long. We had an hour, and there were two other points that are very important that I want to address, which is the being attacked and kind of recreating that, because a lot of us are experiencing this, but it's been happening to me for 3 years. So now I kind of like look over my shoulder. For an example, I was going to go to West Palm, and the person needed to change the visit and move me. But right away was like, oh my God, they canceled the whole trip. And in the end, it was Spirit wanted me to just come to Miami because I have another conference here. So it's like, what part of you is recreating that pattern? Maybe with men or with the opposite sex or the same sex, the person in relationships, let's just put it that way. In relationships, you're recreating patterns, and a lot of people will just be, it's all their fault, they're assholes. Well, what are you doing? And what are you getting out of playing this part?
As you're saying that, there's that phrase, universe isn't doing this to you, it's doing this for you, right? And so you also, when you are, and I think Maryam is right here, she's leading to something here. And for some people, they might listen to this, it's like, no, it's not true. I don't want to get beaten up, and I don't want this, and I don't want that. Okay, just bear with me here for a second. You are perhaps recreating these events in your lives so that you, subconsciously, right? So that consciously, you can recognize those loops, those patterns, those old programs that no longer serve you, so that you can empower yourself and finally, once and for all, cut those loops.
Absolutely.
And this is why we're here, a lot of us. Yeah. Now, what's interesting now, too, as we're moving into this age of Aquarius and all of these weird energies from space hitting us, it seems conducive to doing that even more. And so you're seeing now, on top of this great, whatever thing is happening on the planet over the last year or two that's stressed people, but really made people stop and pay attention, maybe for the first times in their life, because before that they were doing the métro boulot dodo. What's the English version of that? Work, sleep, and whatever.
I haven't heard the French.
Anyways, métro boulot dodo, it's a French one. Anyways, it's like take the bus to work, and then go to sleep, and then do the same thing the next day, right? And then with what happened last year, everybody kind of had to stop and look and say, what the hell is going on? Some people did that a lot faster than others. Some people are just now getting into that process. But once you get into that process, and this is the beauty of this, once you're in that process, you can analyze what's happening outside, but you can also, for sure, even better, analyze what's happening inside. Because inside, there's very few of those distractions. Like on the outside, you'll have CNN telling you, look over here, when in fact you should be looking over there. But once you do that introspection, the only person preventing you from seeing those programs is yourself and your limiting beliefs and your thought that you're not powerful enough, right? So that's where it gets really, really powerful, when you stop and look within. Speak to that a little bit, Maryam, and your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 1,000%. And having almost died like a cat, I don't know what life I'm on, but when I had my near-death experience, the most traumatic one, I know that I'm an old soul who's died young many times, that part of my path is to go through older age. And for me, it's ridiculous if you have an opportunity in this life to learn the lessons. You're going to keep having to do it. So I'm not one to leave my homework till the last day. And I know that I've been given an opportunity because I was hit by an SUV and dragged 50 feet and could have very well been crippled. And if you see me dance, and I'm a miracle. And I don't want to squander this life. And perhaps that's why I'm especially kind of angry and feel like we've been hijacked, because life is challenging enough, and we have so much magic, and now we've been set back because of this oppression. So I absolutely agree. There's no time to waste. You have an opportunity, and it's a wonderful journey, self-journey. I'm lucky that I've been on it since I was 13 years old, and I'm now 48. And so perhaps I have people who are just waking up because of the Rona, have a lot of catching up to do. But
well, Cliff High was saying that in the last couple of videos. You mentioned Cliff earlier. Whereas some people swallowed that red pill maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the people who are coming online now are going to have to swallow a huge, gigantic red pill in a very, very small amount of time, because of how fast and furious everything is happening at the exact same time. The big unveiling, or the big unearthing of some of these past truths, secrets, and well, so what I keep saying on the show is compassion for all of those people. And for those of you who are already on that path now, you're going to get this what you call a battlefield promotion here very soon, because there's all these new people waking up, and they're going to be looking out for people like you who can kind of be their rock in their storm here, because things are about to get even wilder than they are now. Libby says, Maryam, you're on your best life now. I love Libby. Thank you so much, Libby.
I'm on my what? Thank you, Libby.
Your best life now. This is the best life. And what we were saying about universe, not only is it not doing this to you, it's doing it for you. But as Maryam was alluding to, it also doesn't care if it takes you 1,000,000 lifetimes to learn the lesson, or if it takes you 2 minutes, right? And if you continuously ask universe to provide you with examples of these tortures you need to figure out for yourselves, universe will say, okay, so be it. But if you say, okay, I'm done with that, universe will say, okay, so be it. What's next? Right? So it's a complete different mind shift of being in control of your ship, as opposed to having everything else in the external driving you through this field that we're in now collectively.
Yeah, I think it's time to cultivate our superpowers. And like you said, because we're ascending, and let's say when you do like a plant medicine journey like Aya, in a very short amount of time, you're going through lots of things. And in fact, many times you're purging other lives. And I've witnessed that in others. So it's a funny thing this time, because I'm very good with assessing, let's say, time in the third plane. But at the same time, something when you're doing a plant medicine, that it's relative. I mean, hours go by and you could be doing a lot of work that feels like you've gone through lifetimes.
Yeah.
So, but time is of the essence, and 2 weeks to slow the spread is 18 months now. And really, life is short. Life is short.
You and I will be doing a video in a year from now, and it was like, okay, we're on booster number 27 now, and we're a week away from returning to normal and back to the
Well, you know, when you talk about the alien invasion that you talk more about, let's say on your show, that it dawned on me a couple of days ago or last week that if I were told that they have taken over and what's going on is not human, I would entertain it at this point. We could say they're narcissistic, they're taken over by hyperdimensional entities, but perhaps this effing up with the blood and what's going on, making us part of the Internet of Things, that perhaps this is not human. I don't know.
Well, that's a whole other show right there.
Yes, I know.
If you want to. And I have a lot to say about that. So maybe not next week with John Hutchison, but the one after that, we can do a show on this, because a lot is starting to tie in for me as well, because I've been studying this for a long time. And now there's people who are also kind of looking at this, intuiting what they understand, what they feel is happening. And together, we're getting a bigger and bigger piece of the puzzle here. So, and I think that's an important conversation. I've been having this over the last couple of weeks here, because if we keep at this low level con of the left versus right paradigm and all this stuff, we're missing really the big picture of what's happening. Right. And when you just said about the blood, if you look at the last video I did today with Bryce, we talked about this RH protein that looks like a spike basically attached to the red blood cell. And I was saying, well, I understand that is depleting the energy within the red blood cell. So your red blood cell, if you think about it as a battery, if you have the rhesus positive protein attached to it, you are depleting your battery faster than those who do not, right? And I was mentioning the Star Wars theme of, you know, when they check your blood for your midichlorian levels to see if you can be a Jedi, right? And so we talked about this with past guests on our show here.
I'm not familiar with that. What do they looking for?
So in Star Wars, they talk about midichlorians. And so they're, I don't know where the word comes from, but they're basically counting how much of these are in a red blood cell. And they're saying the more you have, the more energy you have to apply to your skill to become a Jedi. So if here on the planet, we live on this energy extraction matrix, right? It would make sense that most of the population has basically that spike attached to their blood cell to drain that cell, to drain that battery. We are batteries, therefore, this is what John Hutchison got a little bit into in our last show. Yes. We deleted from YouTube. So I think that's enough for this.
But I think we're on to something there.
Absolutely.
We are batteries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, given what they're trying to do now, is it also possible, and these are my thoughts.
Yeah.
It's possible that the energy is coming from space now, or the areas of space that we're moving into. So don't forget, we're not turning around the sun. We are trailing behind the sun as the sun is moving through space, right? So the sun is moving us to a different quadrant here of space and energy. And as that's happened, it's very possible that that energy might be shaving off those spike proteins, or those spikes or those proteins, the rhesus monkey protein that are on our red blood cells, meaning that it would be more difficult for whoever is extracting the energy from those proteins to continue to do so. So if they knew this going in, of course, they're in charge of those energy extraction matrix programs, they might conceive of a way to put in another particle into your blood so that they can continue siphoning off, even though this old version of the extraction matrix is breaking down. You see what I mean? So this is just me thinking out loud, but I would say, oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to, because we're still can't say what we want to say. Like if we're free, you know, and that's part of thinking. And it's like this free flow where there's no like, you can't say this and you can't say that.
Right.
And it's just like, this is how ideas come, how solutions come up. And this is a necessary process where there's no mistakes and you're just riffing and you feel like you're in a safe space because you're
in a safe space. No, but this is the point. Sharing these ideas and these thoughts that we have, thinking out loud, is what moves the needle further, right? And not being afraid to share that. And like I said in that show earlier, that part about the energy part in the red blood cell, I don't know how I know that. I just know that. Yeah. It's a deep knowing of mine. I've had it for a long time. Is it true? Is it not true? Guys, I don't know. But it would make sense. And then when you look at everything around the world, you say, oh, it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. No, but if you look at it in the proposed scenario I just told you, and if you can accept that people are trying to get your energy, and that perhaps the way in which they used to extract your energy is no longer working for them, you would think, oh, well, they're trying to devise another way to maybe achieve those same objectives. Then you could say, now this whole forced idea suddenly makes sense. We have to move into this new entrapment of theirs. So anyways, who knows?
It's fascinating.
I love the ideas, JC. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It merits free-flowing conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's the point. So going back to, let me see here. I had the poster up in a second here. Okay, so you talked about the 7th dimensional plane. She has the ability to bring everybody on a live chat there before she does her activations. And so, folks, if you haven't seen this last episode here, this was from Monday night. We did it on a Monday for the Harvest Moon full moon event. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. The energy. And a lot of people were just after the show was like, oh my God, I'm so dizzy. I don't know what just happened. Like they had trouble putting words to how much energy they were feeling during this show. So guys, go check that out. But absolutely amazing stuff.
And imagine the power when you get together in the flesh 6 inches apart. And I'm just saying, I mean, and just like at this Bulletproof conference, there's thousands of people, all free, all focused on health, all smiling and being able to see each other smile, wink, wink. And the just feeling that after not feeling it for a long time, because people haven't had the opportunity to gather in a lot of super spreader events. And so the power of even getting on a call, I mean, for the live chat, when we're gathered together, there is, I love praying, and I put a lot of, anyone wants to pray whenever, rabbi, priest, whatever, I will pray. And I really believe in energies coming together to kind of further ascend each other. And that's also a reason that the resonance of the heart is 6 feet. No coincidence. And so gathering is very important. And the best, I guess the next best thing is being able to have someone like May or to gather where we're harnessing each other's energy. It's very important. It's very important because epigenetics is huge. Your environment makes a difference. Let me tell you, it's way different. Me waking up in a heated vest with a toque. For me, I mean, everybody compared to, I'm just going to walk down the beach and like go be around people, nature, going to go take a dip in this beautiful water, and the impact on your well-being and your thoughts. So all that to say, I mean, it matters who we gather with, what information you allow into your psyche. I mean, I, as a journalist, I know a lot of people can't do it, and I choose to do it, but there's consequences to putting negativity into your being. I lost you.
Sorry, there was an echo. I muted myself. I've been doing that lately a lot. There's so many screens to look at when I'm doing these live shows, and of course, I'm not perfect. I'm just a guy trying to do my best here. What I wanted to say was what you were saying there is when we get together, even here on the live streams, and especially when we're doing these live activations, meditations, whatever it is, singing bowls with Joe last year, like they were so amazing. And I had a few tarot readers and spiritual people told me too that the last time this channel was deleted, and I was bending over backwards not to say bad words on that one, and I still got deleted. And they were pulling out the cards and was saying the same thing. No, they're trying to disperse the community. Because when you guys are together doing these meditations and sharing thoughts and all that, you're much more powerful than you actually realized. And the fact that a lot of people in here too are RH negative, it just makes me wonder, really, who are these people watching these shows, this community that we're in? How are we so connected? Star families and star seeds and walk-ins and wanderers and, warriors. Like, we're all in this for a reason. We all found each other for a reason. And the more they delete us, the more we come back and coalesce together.
I think
and coagulate our blood together. There you go.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to, for every, let's say, friend you've lost or connection, to be able to meet someone. I mean, one of the days of the Bulletproof, we went to someone's house who'd rented an Airbnb. One was from Orange County. Then my girlfriend came with me, California, and Kazakhstan, and like we were all on the same page, just see things, and it's not an accident, and it's so refreshing and inspiring. And then we sat together and we found like connections between all of us, and it's just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I don't drink. I think that I'm bringing that up because in gatherings it's so accepted. And it's I'm sorry if anybody drinks out there, I apologize. This is for me. And maybe like May, I believe in purifying. I don't sleep around. I'm a food Nazi. It's very important to keep channel, and there's so much interference. So alcohol is just, to me, low level, sloppy. Ugh. It's not, people who are wasted, it's so lucky.
Yeah. I was just going to make another joke because he said, "Oh, I don't drink." I said, "No, because you get drunk on water. You don't need water." And Irish me is saying coagulate. Wow, this is Sticky Woo Crew. I'm like, yeah, I love that. That could be a new series, the Sticky Woo Crew. I love it. Irish me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hey, Maryam, oh my God, we're already 50 minutes into this one.
Okay.
Let's talk about your medicine consulting practice here, how it's growing, and talk about some of your amazing experience with the latest customers, and share with the audience how they can perhaps get a leg up on their own personal health situations here by contacting you directly here at honeycolony.com.
Because of what's going on in the world, I mean, 1 in every 2 people has a chronic illness, and it's very important to keep your temple strong. And we were already a sick society, no joke. Yeah. So I believe that we are on this third plane, and in order to be able to live your potential, this is your temple, and I refuse to allow these companies and their poisons to enter me, and I'm righteous about that. So I focus mostly, a lot of people who come to me have autoimmune conditions. There's 80 million alone plus in this country, and I reversed lupus and fibro. And when I tell people I'm 48 years old and I was overweight, so I do help people. A lot of people come. Everybody wants to lose weight, but that's not the focus. I believe that when you get the body, when you address the deficiencies and pains or whatever is going on. And so I was sidetracked because I was thinking, I got a certificate also in metabolomics from Greece, actually, the doctor I worked with. And we have different functions in the body, metabolites, 5,000. And it's what allows for ATP production and energy. And there's a lot of things that could stand in the way and dampen that. But food is thy medicine, and that is the easiest way. So I take a deep dive, and from a functional medicine point of view, I'm even creating a timeline where I even ask, like, were you vaginally born? What happened earlier on? I really want to see a whole picture and then the details. And I don't think that's functional medicine, but certainly not Western medicine. So a lot of people have been coming to me for quick questions, and then I offer the little reading. So I am like truncating it, even though my nature, I still give them the intake forms. So it really depends what you want to address. I don't know if you have any time for like a question before we go our separate ways.
Sure, if you want to. Let's see.
Sure.
So
I mean, I want to say, because of this show, because of meeting you, Jean-Claude, and allowing me to nurture this side, because I've gone kind of out of balance as a journalist, and then with the Rona not being able to exercise or go freely as well, and meditate. In any case, it's helped me really like hone in. And when I do these programs, like I feel like I'm also realizing, oh, I have wisdom. It's not necessarily mine, but if I can just get out of the way and just whatever comes through.
Absolutely.
Oh, one other thing with Mei, when she
hold on, just hold that thought. So folks, if you have a question health related for MARYAM, now's the time, put it in caps here, and as we wait for that to populate, I'll pick one question here before we go. We'll get back to a MARYAM story here about May. So one question directly, make it small and precise, towards a MARYAM with your health situation if you want to, and we'll try to address one of those. Okay, MARYAM, back to May.
So with May, when she was before she even started doing any chanting, or I was hearing parrots every once in a while. Like it would accentuate like an exclamation with a parrot, and then so at the end, you know, I'm like, do you have you ever had any birds? Because I was hearing a parrot, and so she told me her dad had a parrot, and I just imagined. You know, I didn't know if she was open to it, but I just like imagined in her practice having this exotic bird, and the bird, because she's talking all the time, that the bird would like then be like part of the healings. Anyway, it's just like when I get an image or something comes to me, I think as an intuitive, a lot of people make mistakes in their practice where, and I've said this before, where they run it through their own bias and they try to interpret. And sure, I can interpret and say, well, this is what comes up to me, but I try to be like, I'm getting this. I don't know if it means anything, but I like that, because I've worked with people that I can tell with my intuition that they're filtering it through their biases, and it's diluting or clouding the message.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Wow. Okay, I'm looking for questions. I don't see any. Absolutely. Let me scroll up. I thought I saw one. Ariel. Why can't I kick nicotine?
Well, nicotine is a nootropic. I don't know what type of nicotine you're taking, but the first thing I would suggest, are you doing... Is this organic tobacco? Because all the addictive properties, they even put sugar in the filter. They put sugar. So it's a nootropic. I don't know if you're using it. Obviously, it's a crutch somehow. Are you wanting me to pick up something specifically for you? I mean, it's quite addictive, but I would say I use tobacco, but I never smoke cigarettes or by themselves. So I don't think it's addictive. I don't have an addictive personality. So then I would look to see, are you using this as a surrogate?
She says she quits her cigarettes and now is vaping.
Okay. Well, why? Or have you made the decision that you want to give this up? I assume that you think vaping is a better option. So if I was working with you, I'd try to get to the root of why. When did you start smoking, and how many times have you tried? What have you tried? And try to connect it with an emotion, or get to the root of what it's filling. It's obviously you're smoking to fill something.
Well, see here, she's saying, I can't get my mind around quitting the action of smoking.
Okay, so you haven't resolved to quit, and that means it's serving a purpose. So we'd still explore, what is it serving? Are you kind of just flirting with the idea, or you're guilting yourself
Right.
because you feel you should? Did you start smoking at a young age, and it's been like a partner for you? I have something to say about the vaping. I'm not a fan, because for me, I feel the metal, and just intuitively, I don't think it's better than the tobacco. But again, I would look to see what it. If you want to, if you're feeling bad, maybe you can do. I'm always trying to do upgrades with people.
Yeah.
Can you upgrade to an organic tobacco while you further explore? Have you done a journal session asking yourself the question or automatic writing? But it seems to me that you're not, like, as you've said, you're just kind of starting to think about it, or giving yourself a guilt trip, and there's something else there as to what it's substituting.
Wow. Well, that's a great start. And of course, this is why Maryam has an intake form for her consultations. Now, talk about maybe how people can just get started here, get a taste before they want to go a little bit further from you. What's this Ask a Question 15-minute consultation? Explain that.
So let's say that was the question, and I would work with the cards and draw a card. And then if you were really serious of getting to this because you want to get to the next step, you're not ready to quit. You're just kind of flirting with the idea, which is the first step. And in my coaching practice, that we acknowledge that, and we even try to establish, where is the person? Are they committed, or are they just flirting with the idea? And I work with you where you are. There's no, like, I'm not guilting you. I'm not judging you. Right. I'm just here to serve what you want. If you're like, I want to get to the next step, or I want to figure out why, and then we give you tools on your own. Like, what comes to me is like, do a journal, do automatic writing session.
Right. Wow, that's fabulous.
And in the meanwhile, maybe try to use a tobacco that's not crappy, or a vape.
Right. Oh, well, upgrade, yeah, maybe the substance, so there's less of those chemical components, because those are killers for sure if you're trying to get off of them. They're designed that way for a specific reason.
Yes.
Folks, while you're here on honeycolony.com, you can check out all the amazing products as well, and you can use the coupon code BeyondMystic. It'll give you another 10% off. And let's talk about silver. There's a big buzz around silver right now in the economic and financial communities right now, but let's talk about your...
I'm sold out.
You're sold out.
Sold out.
So the investors who can't find silver in the world right now have gone in and scoured all the silver found in honeycolony.com. That's amazing.
I wanna say I walked into the Bulletproof. They had a tech room with all the toys. I wanted to show you guys this, or is guys offensive now? Okay, this is called Happy. It just how happens, like, because of the bee. I definitely want to sell it because of it's not on the site yet, and it's malfunctioning because they upgraded. But the idea is you put it around. Oh, it is on. There's different programs.
Let me remove this. There you go. Okay, I want to see. Okay.
And so I use deep sleep. There's alert. There's happy hour. That's supposed, and there's a nicotine, by the way. A nicotine, it stimulates, because again, nicotine is a nootropic, and is used, like, people use spray, nasal spray, like actually Dave Asprey. In any case, this is working with magnetic resonance. I'm still playing with it, and I apologize, I can't properly explain the science, but I'll be offering this. And I heard many people at the show, and I'll get to the silver, sorry. Many people at the show is like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Like, what is this? And it's malfunctioning today because they're upgrading their firmware, and I'm very upset. I really, and I'm like, oh, wow, it is doing something. I feel good when I wear it. And when I was in Costa Rica, I went to do a healing, which was magnetics. And because we were close to the equator, she could rebalance. And definitely our magnetic field could be messed with.
Right.
So I can tell you further about this. But when I walked into the tech room, I saw my PhD chelated silver maker. And when I found him, and that's the silver, and my silver was like at Bulletproof on the table, and I was with the film crew too. So that was like, oh, look, it's my silvers here. And when I met him, he also makes our sunscreen, and he was selling more bottles of sunscreen in Michigan than in Florida. And I basically put him on the map with our marketing, with my business partner too. And he very openly says that. And now he's like in Dave Asprey's Bulletproof box. So the silver is 4,000 ppm. Now, when I'm giving consults, depending on what someone's trying to tackle, if they have an acute issue, then I would never leave without silver. Never have any silver without it's necessary. And for me, it's the natural antimicrobial that was swept under the proverbial rug with the advent of penicillin, because you can't patent a precious metal. Mm-hmm. So the colloidal, if you're at home or it's a long-term thing, and then this is 0 to 10 ppm. That little jar allows you to make, we have another gentleman that goes by Silver Healer, Silver Santa, and he makes the little jar, which is with 3D printing and 2 little prongs, and you can make with distilled water. And there is a video out there with me as playing Sassy Sasha, my alter ego, explaining in a British accent the benefits of silver. All right. And now with the Silver Excelsior, it's 4,000. It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good to bolster the immune system. It's like, oh, I got my silver, I'm okay. That's how I feel.
Awesome. Well, folks, there's a lot of great products there too. So you're out of silver. When do you think it'll be back in stock?
Oh, it is going to be back this week. It's
okay. It's very short-lived. Okay. Yeah. So there you go, folks. That's honeycolony.com. In the meantime, if you want to follow Maryam's work, you can find her on her Twitter at twitter.com/Maryam Henein. And of course, please do go and subscribe to her channel here on YouTube. Let me bring that link down to the live chat. All of these links are in the description box below, by the way, if you're watching this on
they start taking people away from me. They won't let me grow beyond that. You know, when I got to 10K, they killed it. And now they're some of their tactics are just like, let's take away 400. It's so.
Yes, it is. All right, folks. That was the Quantum Woo with Maryam Henein for part 11. So join us next week on a Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern for part 12 with John Hutchison. It'll be part 2 of the John Hutchison story. And I'm looking forward to hearing about his amazing technology. The last episode, if you haven't seen it, go check it. It was a couple of weeks ago, and it'll give you a framework for the next one coming up. So merci beaucoup, Maryam. That was a fabulous
show. I just want to, before we go, I just want to do a shout out to Eric, and because I forgot, and then there is a man named Tony that I'll be discussing, finally speaking with the hopes to bring on the show. And then there's a gentleman by the name of Chin that sent me a donation that so helped me in this time. So I just want to say a big thank you.
Awesome. And before we go, can you type in the chat your PayPal tip jar or your Venmo address so people can...
I'll give you my Venmo, which goes directly to me. Okay. And this is to continue to help me in these very censored times. I'm continuing to write my book. And in fact, I'm paying a graphic designer right now in my pursuit, finishing my documentary. So it all goes to good use and is very appreciated. So I'm still waiting for Chase to send me my money.
So this is Venmo?
Yes.
Maryam Henein.
Yes, it's
okay, so there you go. So there you go, folks. If you want to support Maryam directly, of course, she no longer has PayPal. They took her off there a while ago, so you can use her. Oh, I typed in Venmo. What did I type in?
I know.
So anyways, it's Venmo. You guys can figure it out. All right. Again, folks, thank you so much for being here tonight. And please do remember to go like, share, and subscribe on Maryam's channel. And we'll see you tomorrow, I believe, for my Indigo Angel Galactic Download, which is promising to be an amazing show as well. I love you guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.